Hi, everybody. My name is John DePietro, and I want to take this time to welcome you to another edition of My Life with Kenny Rogers. Now, let me tell you right up front, the best part of this is that we're not talking about my life with Kenny Rogers, but we're talking about the life with Kenny Rogers of our special guest, and you won't recognize him. You may recognize his name, but it's Steve Calzaretta, and Steve played a very integral role in many, many Christmas shows and the toy shop. As you can see, I have my toy shop jersey on. But let me remind you about one thing. This is one of a series of several remembrances that we're doing of Kenny and of his 55 to 60-year career, depending upon when you start counting. And if you enjoy this, down in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, you will see a little button, a little red button that says subscribe. Well, hit that button, and then a little bell will pop up. Hit the bell, and that means one thing. Every time we do a new sequence, a new episode, you'll be notified first. Remember, this special offer is not available in stores, and you need to do it right now because it costs you absolutely nothing. But you'll gain a lot from it because in the time I've had to talk with Steve before pressing the record button, I found out he's a very interesting person with some great stories. So with that being said, Steve Calzaretta, I got your name right, right?
Yes.
Welcome to...
Well, we're Italian. It's easy.
Yeah, you're right. Welcome to the show about you.
That's nice. I like it.
So tell me the years, Steve. Tell me your time with Kenny and what you did, and then we'll go back to how you got there and everything else.
I was with pretty much for 95 to 2000, and it was fantastic. Just going on the road, and we did the toy shop. We did the first year touring. I was Elvis, where I impersonated Elvis in a green lame outfit and sang Blue Christmas with elf ears, big sideburns, and I was very handsome. And then we went to the toy shop after that. So it was great. 5 years, and ended up working very close with Gene Roy, tour manager for several of those years. And
I've heard that name, Gene Roy. What was it that he did? Because I heard his name a lot, but there wasn't much that I saw that he ever did.
No, he did nothing. Just tour manager, booking hotel rooms, making sure the tour goes right, road bus. You know, him and Keith Bougas, they ran it all.
Yeah. Kind of babysitting, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Gene had to babysit me. Are you kidding?
So that was 20 years ago, or more than that, like 25 years ago.
And I'm only 15.
Right. Does it seem like yesterday, or does it seem like ancient history?
No, I remember everything. You know, that's one of the greatest things about being on the road with them was your family. It was family. It wasn't just, you know, you punch in and punch out, go into your job. It was your family, you know, and it was, it wasn't like you see so many of these people that have these backstage passes and stuff, and everybody's got different colors and stuff. No, everybody talked to everybody, was great. You know, it didn't even feel like work. And actually, quote from Kenny was, if you're lucky enough to do something you love, you never work a day in your life. Hmm. And it's
you bring up a very interesting point, Steve, because a lot of other people that we've talked to, I mean, you're probably the 20th or 25th person that we've done this segment with. To see you were right up there at the top. Oh, just joking, just joking. Everybody said that there was not a caste system. See, you know, the old way where the performers didn't talk to the crew, which didn't talk to the bus drivers, etc. But right. at the meals, everybody was at the table, and
yeah,
you know, that must have made it easier for you to do your work.
Oh, a lot easier. It was great. It was. They said, I mean, we're sitting down. With one day I'm sitting with Steve, Randy, Warren, Chuck. You know, and I'd go out to breakfast sometimes with them. Or the next day I was sitting with Kelly Junkerman. Then sitting with some of the other people that were hired like me. So, you know, it's like I said, it was just a family, and it didn't matter where you sit. You know, the only thing was we didn't have assigned seats, you know, where usually there's a head of the table and stuff, but it didn't work out that way. But
no assigned seats. Now, very interesting. when you did, you know, years on the road, it was totally different than the year you did Beacon Theater.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you had said that one of your first shows was in Boston. And Steve, show us the evidence of the love that you have for the city of Boston. There we go.
I fell in love with it. I fell in love with it.
Did you buy that in Boston?
No. I don't think I'd be able to afford it in Boston. I think if you buy in Boston,
Boston.
I think it would cost me about $300. I got this off of Lids, you know.
Yeah.
I
Okay, good. Good. So you said your first stop was in Boston, and
well, one of them was, yeah.
You had a very interesting story about you're trying to find a restaurant that was one of your favorite tourist places. Tell us about that story.
One of my all-time favorite TV shows is Cheers. It is to this day. It's #1. It's just the greatest show. I love it. And we were playing, at the time it was called the Fleet Center. I don't know what it is now, but we're, you know, the Celtics playing everything. And we had about we finished sound check and everything. We had like 4 hours to kill before the show. So I just said, I have to go to Bull and Finch, which is what Cheers was originally called before they changed it. So I just walked out on the street and just started walking. I found this guy, a businessman, in a very, I forget what, it's a camel colored.
Camel hair.
Camel, thank you, yeah, big word. Camel hair jacket. And I walked up and I said, excuse me, sir, can you tell me how to get to Bull and Finch from here? And he said, yeah, you want to go up on the T there? I said, I'm sorry, what? He said, you want to go up on the T there? I said, I don't understand you. And he started yelling at me. Well, of course, I didn't mean to offend him. He said, you get on the train. I said, oh, the L. Because I'm from Chicago. We call it the L. They call it the T. His accent was so thick, I couldn't understand him. And so I whooped on the T there, and I went down to the Bull and Finch.
You know, I said in my introduction that people might not remember your name. And they might not remember your face except for the Elvis year, but tell us what your role was. And
as the original Bruno Bear in the
which means
I was all costume. Yep, big furry bear costume, very hot.
But you sang live, am I correct?
I sang live the first, I think, 2 years I did it. And then Frank Farrell came up to me, who's one of Kenny's sound monitor people. And he said, listen, Bruno, he said, I think I can make your life a lot easier. And we recorded it. And so when the song came on, when I had to sing, the vocals were tracked. All I had to do was pant, breathe heavy, and dance. Which, of course, one of my fortes, dancing.
Not at all. Not at all.
Thank God I had a big hairy costume on where it was very, because I looked very cute and big and fluffy. So couldn't tell that were wrong dance moves.
And the other element with wearing those costumes is it gets hot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember we were rehearsing in Nashville, and they had, I forget the TV show, but it was kind of like Good Morning America, but for Nashville and everything. They came in to film, and we did one number, and we had already been rehearsing all day, and I was just dripping wet, just looking very handsome. And I took off the head and just laid down on the ground, and they came with the camera, and just, I was dripping wet so much that this padded suit was even wet on the outside of it. So I had to lose weight. I wish I had that suit now.
Yeah, crazy stuff. So when you get to be picked for a role like with the toy shop and the Kenny Rogers Christmas show, talk about the audition process. What were you doing at the time? How did they find you? How did you find them? And tell us about callbacks and all that other stuff. Yeah,
it goes back to the first audition when they were looking for people to fill in between Kenny's first act and second act. And that's when we came in. That's when I did the whole Elvis thing and sang Blue Christmas and used a sweaty towel and threw it to people. That was really a lot of fun. We auditioned for Kelly Junkerman, and Diana Martinez, who was the director out of Pheasant Run, they did a show there every year. So they called her and said, can you bring in some actors to audition for us? So that's how it all started. And I came in, auditioned, and got picked. As far as the toy shop is concerned for those auditions, and they were in Chicago, Kenny and Kelly flew in and we did round one of auditions, and it was just to sing and move a little. And of course, it always helps knowing you've worked with people before. That always helps. And then we got a script, and they said, why don't you try reading for this? Why don't you try reading for this? Why don't you try reading for this? And I was reading some of this stuff on Bruno, and it just kind of felt more like me than the other roles. So I was able to play a little bit more in my mind with it.
You can relate to being an animal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Probably the Italian background again.
Of course. And for some reason, I just started throwing different voices in. You know, very simple voices. You know, okay, you know, that whole kind of thing. Like originally I thought, if you remember the TV show Tennessee Tuxedo, the cartoon.
Yeah, yeah.
It was his friend the Walrus. That's how I started doing it at first. It just wasn't right. And we tried all these different voices and everything. And finally, I don't know what it was, but during the audition, Jim Ignatowski from Taxi popped into my head. Do you remember Christopher Lloyd?
Yeah.
Played Ignatowski. And he talked like this. And okay, Alex, great to see you. And Kelly started laughing so hard at it, and we just kind of went with that, you know. And we had callbacks the next day, and I did the same thing, and I started getting very physical on stage too, very clumsy, very physical, and dumb, kind of just simple, simplistic in my mind, just very simple with that voice. And so that's where everything stemmed from. And
so you're not in an outfit then?
No, just in jeans and a t-shirt, I think it was.
Okay. So that might have been. So you made it through.
Yes.
You made it through. You got picked. Ultimately, you know, the show moves to New York a year later or so, and you guys are middle of November. You're rehearsed. The stage is set. You're all set to go on for previews.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened, Steve?
In New York?
In New York.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry, I was way back before then. The auditions that they had in New York, you know, I was in Chicago. I was doing a show. I couldn't make it and everything. And Kelly called me. I said, Kelly, I just can't get out there. I can't make it. And then Kelly called, and we were able to work out a deal. And that's how I got to be in the show and everything. So we started rehearsing and everything. And Larry Pellegrini's the director. Well, Larry Pellegrini was the director of Tony and Tina's Wedding, which I did in Chicago. And so, boom, he knew me right there.
So time out. There's a lot of Italians mixed up in this now.
It's a club.
It's a club. So you got Tamaro, that's a toy soldier or something, and Calzaretta, and Pellegrino. And I think there was one other guy there that Johnny told me about. I forget.
Oh, Vici, Marty Vici, the Goose Man. He's another story. You got to talk to him sometime.
Okay. So go ahead. I interrupted you. So
no, that's okay. But if you talk to the Goose Man, he's got tapes that could put us both in jail. So yeah.
Tapes. Okay. Okay.
So anyway, so we get to New York and we start rehearsing and everything. And Kenny comes in. It was the first time he shaved off the sides, so we just had the goatee. So of course I go up to Kenny. I said hi, and I said one incredible, very thought question. I said, "Oh, you shaved?" Because you know that's just what you say. And he told me, he said, "Well, I had some razors that I never used, so I thought I'd use them." And then that was it. So we started talking, and everything was just like being back on the road and touring again. It was all family and everything. We're rehearsing. The choreographer I knew from Chicago. So I got to talking with him. It was just like I knew so many people. It's a small world. And we're rehearsing. And we get into the previews, we're rehearsing, and I'm not feeling good. I have a fever, chills, sweating and stuff like that. And I just thought, I'm old school. So if you're not feeling well, you just put on layer after layer after layer.
Yeah.
You sweat it out. You're done.
Sweat it out.
Yep. And then drink a lot of whiskey, hot toddies. You macrame your butt to the couch, you know. So, well, that wasn't working. And it was our last preview.
Now, you hadn't, had you been in front of the general public yet?
For the previews, yeah.
Okay.
It's our rehearsal with an audience. I think they sell the tickets for cheaper. The audience is aware that the show may stop.
Yeah.
In the event of something going wrong, but you run things, you see what works, what doesn't work, you change things. You know, so we're doing these previews, and we just finished our last preview, and it got to a point where I couldn't even move anymore. Like I couldn't even lift my arms. I thought I was going to die. So one of the PAs took me to Roosevelt Hospital, and after sitting there for hours and hours and hours, I finally get into a room, and it was a teaching hospital. So he comes in, there's like 6 people that want to be doctors. And they're
all wearing their white coats.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm there, I'm shivering and talking like this and everything. And you know, I'm doing all this kind of stuff, wiping the sweat and everything. And the one doctor, I guess the one who's the real doctor, was teaching him.
Real doctor.
Yeah. He says, you know, I think you need to be in detox. You're displaying all the symptoms of someone that's, you know, kind of coming down off of some type of narcotics or.
Oh, you had the shakes from coming down. Okay, I see.
What are you talking about? I've been in rehearsals for the show for the last 2 weeks, you know, and everything. And I'm shaking. And no, we think it's. I said, could it be chicken pox? Now, let me just back a little bit. I wasn't feeling good for a couple days, and my wife had told me. She says, maybe you have chicken pox. I go, I'm 28 years old. I don't have chicken pox. She said, do you ever have them? I said, no. And she said, it could be chicken pox. And they had one mark right here, just one mark that came out of nowhere. And I thought maybe it was a zit. And turns out it was not. But I show these doctors, I go, look, there's a pock mark right there. And they said, no, you're too old for chicken pox. I said, I never had them. They all left the room. They come back 20 minutes later, and we think maybe you have the chicken pox. So I looked at the guy. I said, listen, do I give you the bill for my diagnosis of myself or not? And of course, they have no sense of humor.
No, especially in New York.
But this was, our last preview. And so I go to the hospital and make a call, and Johnny was ready to go. And the thing is I've been doing this 30, 40 years performing, theater, music, everything. And come across a lot of people, worked in a lot of places. And one thing that I do know, and so many people will tell you differently, but I'll say 80% of the time, your understudy is better than the person that they originally cast. And I'm not saying I'm not good, because I'm brilliant. Just ask anybody. But that's a joke. You could laugh there. But knowing that Johnny was ready to go on, I was upset that I couldn't do the show. But knowing he was there, the show didn't miss a beat. And he did it differently than I did too. And the one thing that you could do is he takes things that he likes that I do. I took things that I like that he did, and now you've got a complete character. And I'm sorry, I was wrong. It wasn't the last preview. It was the last rehearsal before previews, because Johnny ended up doing all 3 previews. And then I came back for opening night. But he got the reviews in as he should have. And
Yeah.
He was great. You know what? You can't. That's the thing. First of all, I loved him to death. And we had a great relationship, and just knowing that he was there to keep the show moving forward and not skip a beat, it was fantastic.
Yeah. So I'm told that there were several other people in those crews that you were involved with that you know, have continued in the showbiz world. But before we get into them, I want to ask you a very specific question, Steve. What was it being around the KR crowd, the entourage, whatever you want to call it? That entourage is not a good word, because that connotes people with egos, right? You know, his entourage.
Yeah, Kenny's posse.
Yeah, that's better. Gang is probably better, but
Yeah,
that might connote something differently. But what was it about that whole environment that you were able to take with you to continue? I mean, again, it's 25 years or 20 years since you did it. What were the traits that you saw that you said, I need more of this in order to be successful?
Well, a number of things. First of all, it's friendship and family is first off. I don't know if I said this already, to quote Kenny, if you're lucky enough to do something you like for a living, you never have to work a day. And it was true. Everybody was family. From the second I was hired and that contract was signed and everything, it was family. It wasn't, good morning, sir. How are you, sir? Do this. It was, oh, what's up, man? You know, it was a great time. Everybody was family. Everybody was nice. I had such a great relationship with the whole band. We always messed with each other, and they got me real bad one night on stage.
On stage.
Yeah, on stage. That was always the best place to get people. They got me good. I swear I almost wet myself. They got me so good, but just messing around with everybody. And it couldn't have been a kinder group of people from lighting, sound, musicians, production, everything. It was just, that's what I took away. And that's how I always said I wanted to do things. Yeah, you know what? There's times when people get out of hand and you got to put people in line. But I was always treated with respect. My ideas and my talent were always respected, as well as everybody else's. And to be brought into every Thanksgiving, we go to Gene Roy's house in Kentucky to celebrate Thanksgiving, to be brought into somebody's home. That was the thing, is that you look at celebrities, and one of the first questions, whenever somebody finds out I toured with Kenny, is he nice? Is he really nice? Is he as nice as he appears? What's he like? I said, I don't know. Do you like me? Because he's just a regular guy. He was kind. I tell you real quick, my first experience meeting Kenny, they flew us down to Nashville, and we were rehearsing. I think it was Brentwood or something like that. It was an airplane hangar that we were rehearsing the show in, and we had a break and hadn't met Kenny yet. This is the very first. This is in '95, and I'll never forget this. We were on a break, and I went into the washroom because I had to pee. I had to go, and I'm at the urinal, and the door opens, and I just kind of glanced over, and it was one of these things. I'm not even exaggerating. I did this and stared right at the wall. So it was Kenny walking in. Well, you don't not know who Kenny Rogers is, one of the most recognizable people in the world, you know. And here he comes, and he's going to the washroom too. Obviously, that's why we go to
protection three-piece system keeps out.
I don't know what's going on here.
Uh-oh.
Hold on.
Okay, I'm holding on.
Something happened here. There we go.
It's a good commercial. Okay.
I don't know what that was. I don't know.
So anyway, he comes in, stands at the urinal next to me, and I'm just staring at the wall, because you don't break that rule. You stare at the wall, you don't talk to anybody at the urinal. And he just said, hi. And I stopped going. I couldn't go anymore. I had to go, but he was, so I pretended to finish, but I couldn't. Then I go and wash my hands, made sure that he heard that water, so he knew I scrubbed my hands. And
Yeah, he heard the water.
So he didn't think that I was a slob or anything. And then I go outside and I waited for him, because I said, I can't do this. And he knew exactly what he did, you know. So he comes out a minute later, and he's smiling and laughing, and he said, I thought you'd be here. And I said, I got to get this out of the way now, Mr. Rogers. He says, now don't call me Mr. Rogers. He said, you can call me Kenny or KR, but don't call me Mr. Rogers. He's got a TV show. And I said, okay, Kenny. I said, I just have to tell you, I said, this is a thrill for me. Thank you for the opportunity. I have been a fan since I was little, since I heard you with your jazz trio. And I said, and your greatest hits album was one of my one of first three albums I ever got one Christmas. And he says, really, what were the other too. And I said, well, Kiss Alive too, and Blues Brothers. And he said, I'm just glad to be in the mix.
In the mix.
But we just started talking about jazz music because my father was a singer and he had a top 40 hit in 1956. And whether he remembered the tune or not, he was gracious enough to say, I vaguely remember that song and everything. We just started talking about the jazz music and stuff. And
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that was your intro to to
in the
Kenny.
washroom. Yeah.
That's too funny. That's too funny. I didn't hear that one before. One of the things that I'm finding is that when we're doing these segments, there's always somebody that has a Kenny story that nobody else knew except them. And we had Kenny's brother Roy on not too long ago, and Kenny was evidently in the National Guard for a period of time until he, in the middle of a 4th of July parade, drove the tank onto the sidewalk. And the next day was unceremoniously unenlisted in the National Guard, and I know several other people had that story to tell. One of the other people that I'm told was in the ensemble when you were there was Sean Hayes. Talk about working with him and what he was like way back then before he hit the Will and Grace bonanza.
Again, Pheasant Run was basically, it was the start of my career. I got my first professional show when I was 21 at Pheasant Run, and so many people came out of Pheasant Run. Mickey Maxwell, Rosa Blasi, Sean. It's just so many people that also worked with Kenny, and but I knew Sean because he was a music director there at Pheasant Run, and we worked together a lot. And he's always very funny, and couldn't have been nicer. And the first tour we did, it was Sean and Rosa and myself and Bob and Susanna, and we
with all the Chicago people together.
Yeah, and we did a little bit between Kenny's first act and second act, and Rosa was the sexy little Christmas elf, and she sang Santa Baby. Sean sang Need a Little Christmas. Suzanne had this powerhouse voice, and she did this rockin' version of Silver Bells. Yeah, I remember all this. And we called Bob the Miscellaneous Wandering Elf. And then there was me, and I sang Blue Christmas like Elvis.
Oh, Elvis, that's right.
Elvis. Yes.
Elvis with the ears, right? The ears and the sideburns.
Yeah, we all had the pointy ears and everything. And Diana helped direct that and put that together, who's the director of Pheasant Run. Brenda Didier choreographed a lot of that and everything. It was just great, and that helped start off the family right away, and brought us in, and everybody just couldn't have been nicer. We started laughing from day one with the band. I remember the first band member I met was Steve Glassmeyer, who just I love him. We it off right away, and through that, then I started talking with Chuck Moore and Randy and Warren.
And these are names that you're rattling off. Again, it's been 20 years since you've been with them. Have you seen the show on and off during the time that you've been an alum?
Oh yeah, every time I was in town or they were in town, I would go see the show. I would give Gene Roy a call, and he'd tell me, he said, just, you know where I am. Give me a call, and I'll meet you at the door.
Meet you at the door. Exactly.
Yep.
So I'm told Taylor Bugos, who's Keith's daughter, was a little kid in that show, and she's making her own mark now and
working for Ellen, yeah,
out west doing the Ellen show. And you had a very interesting story about her when she was just a little kid with your son. Tell us that story.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how old she was. She couldn't have been more than 8. And it was the first year I toured, and the tour bus pulled up at the Pheasant Run. That's where we met, and my son John was 6 months old at the time, and I don't know what it was, but I was holding him, and she came up right away and just took him out of my arms, which was fine. If you give a 6 months old to an 8-year-old, kids are durable. If they fall,
They fall.
you pick up. And she took him on the tour bus, gave him a tour, everything like that. And I just thought that was the greatest thing. Who is this girl? I didn't even know her yet.
Oh, you didn't even?
I didn't even know, but I thought this is just the greatest thing. And then Dawn introduced herself to me because at the time she was living in Milwaukee. You know, so
right. Yeah.
Doesn't run. And then I got to meet Keith. And so many things, so many wonderful opportunities with everything that I learned being on the road. I know there were several times I spent with Keith while I'm watching him on that huge soundboard where I'm looking at buttons. I go, can't you just use a volume? You know, and he's all this stuff, you know, and I had no idea what he's doing, you know, and hung out with Frank backstage. There was one time I know I pissed. Can I say that? I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I got under Steve Glassmeyer's nerve because they were doing this song I never heard before for a sound check. And I kept going, what song is this? What song is this? What song is this? And he was playing, he goes, If You Were the Friend. I just kept playing. Just great memories of everything. And I would always be doing practical jokes on the band. And they got me really good during the toy shop one night. Actually, it was at the Beacon Theater. There was a scrim backdrop that covered the band.
That's right. They were hidden, weren't they, during that whole time? Yeah. And
there was this one spot during, I think the song was my song, Mr. Perfect, which is a song in the toy shop. And I went back there was this little cubby hole area where the band was right there. And I would always, in my big bear gloves and everything, I would do very classy things like flip them off.
Yeah.
The audience couldn't see anything.
That only had 3 fingers.
Yeah. I would do all these different things and stuff. And sometimes I would, before the show, go, you know, set up certain things by certain band members, music stands and stuff to let them know that Steve was here, things like that. One night they all stood right there or something behind. I couldn't see them, obviously. And I go up and I'm just getting ready to do something vulgar to them.
Vulgar.
And they all screamed, which couldn't be heard to the audience because the music was so loud. And I fell on my rear end. I fell back. It scared the crap out of me. And they got me. I go, that was good. That was really good.
That was good. That's cool.
But it was
another name from the past that with my extensive research staff have put together was Jillian Arciero, who's now going by the name of Jillian Jacqueline, and just getting
Beautiful
her career
voice.
going now in Nashville.
Beautiful voice. I don't know how old she was when she started, but
Could have been, what, between 10 and 12 or something back then?
something. But wow, she sang like an angel. Oh my gosh. To have somebody have that big of a voice, on key, little kid, just wonderful. And her whole family did that first tour, the second tour with us or something like that. And they were all on the road, just wonderful, very talented family. Jillian, we're not in touch other than online. And every time she comes out with a song on Spotify or something, I get it. You know, very talented girl, love her voice, and very sweet. Haven't seen her in years, but yeah, I wish her nothing but luck. I hope our paths cross again. I mean, I'm working on my own stuff too, so hopefully our paths will cross.
As far as paths, say that 5 times. Paths crossing again. Say that 5 times fast. I should have introduced you as the past, the present, and the future, because you were instrumental in making it possible for the Kenny Rogers Band to kind of get back together and debut their new act.
I'm not responsible. First of all, because they are family, and there isn't anything I wouldn't do for any of them. You know, they took me in and treated me as family, and have always followed my career path as I've followed them, and always interested in everything. So there isn't anything I wouldn't do, you know, within my ability.
Yeah.
And
it's legal.
Yeah. Well, we don't
yeah. Or if the money was right.
you know, I got a guy, you
Yeah.
know. But anyway, I forget exactly how it started, but Chuck Jacobs and I were just emailing back and forth. How's it going? Blah, 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 this and that and everything. What are you doing? Oh, I'm running the Palace Theater. Oh, really? Boom. And then that started. So he said, Kenny, this was before Kenny passed. He said, we have Kenny's blessing to do a tour called Kenny Through the Years and stuff like that as a tribute to Kenny's music. And they're getting Don Gatlin to sing with them. And he said, and we're trying to put a show together. And would you be willing to, before he even finished, I said, yes, absolutely, let's do it. You know, and money is always an issue, not with them on our end. This is all I can afford in the budget. They graciously, the whole band took it and did the show. And we did it with, I don't even think we had 3 months to advertise. But with just the 3 months to advertise, we had 250 people for the show. And it was a great show. I mean, and if you love Kenny's music, this is Kenny's band, and Don Gatlin has got that gruffness in his voice that Kenny had. And I mean, one of the things I always admired about Kenny's voice was, which, I mean, not just me, obviously everybody else, he had that gruffness, his ability to tell a story, and then he was soft and gentle and tender with his ballads and stuff. And Don does a good job. He does a really good job with it. And the band, of course, sounds great. And just having them for, I think it was 48 hours that they were in town was great. And I wish I got to spend even more time with them. Hopefully the theater will open again in February and we can get them back. And we got a great positive response from all of the people, the patrons. One of the things I have my staff do is, you know, we call or email the ticket buyers and everything. What were your thoughts on the shows? We actually were out in the lobby with a camera.
Right.
Saying this is just like being at a Kenny show, brought back so many memories of growing up and everything. And that's the thing I feel that makes a true artist legend is there's so many artists now, not knocking the artist or anything, but the industry's changed. And it seems like corporate is, and the labels are not willing to develop careers like they used to. Well, without all those people back eons ago, right, starting in the 50s, 60s, that were willing to develop people's careers, we wouldn't have these incredible, timeless artists, legends like Kenny. I mean, his career spanned over 40 years.
Yeah, right.
20 number one hits.
Exactly.
He started with his jazz trio, then went to First Edition, Christy Minstrel Singers, and then went off on his own. And you know, I know Ken Cragen was instrumental, and Jim Mazza, all together. You believed in somebody and you developed a career. And Kenny never let up, never let down anybody, and really did it. And a lot of the things that I learned from him, there were few moments of just him and I would have time to just BS a little bit together. And you know, there were a lot of things that he told me that have helped me to continue moving on. And one of his famous sayings is his mother told him, always be happy. Doesn't mean you have to be content, but always be happy. And that speaks volumes. And it's true, because I'm not content with anything right now. And I haven't been, but and it's difficult to be happy when you're struggling and stuff like that. But if you always try, you know, you come out on top. But just a lot of advice he gave me on performing. Watching him was the best medicine in figuring out your voice, figuring out what works for you. You know, there's just so many things you never think about. You don't just go up on stage and boom, here I am. You know, you have to have something. And Kenny had this charisma. I'll never forget, it was the first show we did the first year I toured, and Rosa Blasi, we all got goosebumps before the first show, right before Kenny walked out on stage. And Keith Bugis is in the microphone going, Kenny.
Kenny, exactly. Keith said it the same way. Ladies and gentlemen, Kenny Rogers.
And as soon as he started that phrase, the crowd just erupted. It was, I will use this because I've been to a Kiss concert. It was like a Kiss concert, the way that these people went nuts. It was like the loudest thunder you could ever hear, the way that the people just went crazy. And this was in 1995, and he's been doing it since the 60s. You know, there's a lot to say about somebody like him. It was probably one of the greatest entertaining experiences of my life. And if the whole gang or crew or posse or whatever we decided to call wasn't family,
then it wouldn't be special.
No, it was a truly special time. And
it wouldn't be special. Anybody
that it's a club, because he worked and gave so many people opportunities. You know, just like use Johnny tomorrow for an example. Was it's like you see him on the street and there's this club. I know, you don't have to say anything. It was fantastic. And like I said, they're lifelong friendships. I'm still, I just got an email the other day from Chuck saying what's going on with the theater. I said, I don't know. I got to answer him.
Yeah, you're right. So, you know what? We just want to thank you so much for sharing from your heart. Because I didn't send you the questions in advance. We didn't pre-plan anything that we talked about. We talked about a couple things before, like getting the chicken pox, but Tamara was the one who told me about that. But it's probably something that you will that will walk beside you forever. The fact that you got to work with Kenny during those years, and you're taking those qualities from that group and bringing them into your own thing. I mean, you're in the other side of the business now. Running a theater.
I do have a band, and we play out a lot.
Oh, good. Okay, that was my next question.
Yeah, and
so you're on both sides of the curtain.
Yeah, and every show I do a tribute to Kenny and his band, and we do the Gambler. And one of the greatest things is I just do it pretty much with my guitar player, and just to hear it, I don't even have to sing the song. Everybody sings it. It's wonderful. And the thing that's even more wonderful is people put it up on Facebook and stuff when we do it, and the people that are liking it are Chuck, Gene Sisk, Dawn Bugis, all of them.
They're your gang, yeah.
So to me, that validates me, saying, we're doing something special here.
Are any of those clips up on your Facebook page, or is there a website for the band?
Yeah, if you go to Gone Country USA on Facebook, and the website is gonecountryusa.com.
Gone Country USA.
Yeah, and I say Gone Country, I always say this, it's true. We call ourselves Gone Country because that's where we went. We're all like rock musicians and different backgrounds, and we went to country music. And to be honest, I started doing the country after touring with Kenny, and I went to my friend Rob, and we started doing country music, and he was in a heavy metal band. You'll like this. Wow. He was in a heavy metal band, and I sang with him a few times. We actually both sang with Paul Chapman, who just recently passed away. He was a guitarist for UFO, if you remember that band. We worked with him, but Rob was saying, yeah, he says, we play, it's all high energy. We play these clubs and everything, and it's all guys. It's a big sausage party and everything. And I said, let's try country. So we started rehearsing. We did country, and there were no more guys. It was all women. And Rob looked at me and goes, this does not stink. So we're playing for mostly women now. Yeah, it's nice.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Of course, everybody's kind of on hiatus now with this COVID thing, and hopefully that when you think of the number of people that are impacted by this, and the interesting thing is the stars themselves have so many other income generating activities, you know, whether it's CD sales or endorsements, et cetera, but it's the people that really make the show happen. It's the bus drivers that are out of work. It's the crew guys that are out of work. It's the lighting guys. It's the ticket sellers. It's the people that make popcorn at the theater. They're all out of work. And you know what? We got to get out of this so that we can go back to be Americans again and start having fun.
Yeah, I agree. You know, I mean, unfortunately, the entertainment business is the one that gets hit first and the worst out of everybody, even in the schools. What gets cut from programs? The entertainment programs get cut from schools. Can't do that.
Right.
It brings too much, you know. I'll tell you, this is another thing that Kenny said to me once. He says, there's one thing that everybody in this world has in common with each other. He says, there's not one person in this world that doesn't have this in common, and that's music. And it's true.
Yep.
You're humming it.
Regardless of their background.
It is. It's the one thing we all have in common, and that's one of the first things that got cut. And it's a shame. We need to, we have to get back. We have to see those faces in the audience. We have to see everybody. I mean, there's something about people, true musicians and stuff, that there's a sense of pride and joy when they're on that stage, and that immediate gratification is fantastic. And to see that in the people again, it's great.
And when Gone Country USA gets to start playing again, I'll take a run out to the Midwest. I'll stop at Portillo's, and then we'll
bring me chocolate cake.
Chocolate cake from
because that's always good before you sing.
You know, the funny thing is, and we always joke about it, but Italians, the number one thing they talk about is food, and we're both an example of that without practicing it, without scripting it, or whatever the.
I tell you, come out, because I cook and I make great. We call it gravy, but for everybody.
I'm going. You know what? I've got the hamburgers out. I'm making sauce as soon as we're done this.
There you go.
You call it gravy, we call it sauce, but you know what? You put macaroni in it.
That's right.
Macaroni, and from that perspective, I've still got to meet with tomorrow down at a diner in Brooklyn to see how those guys live down there, because the diners in New York are unduplicated anywhere else in America.
And Rocco's in the Village has the best cannolis.
What is it?
Cannoli there? Rocco's in the Village. Rocco. I can't remember what street it's on. I don't know. I could die now.
I know, exactly. With that being said, we don't want you to die on camera. We want to tell everybody we've been talking to Steve Calzaretta, Bruno from the Toy Shop, and Elvis from the Kenny Rogers Christmas Show. And we want to thank you so much. And folks, just a reminder one more time, if you like this one and want to hear more as they come available, just hit the subscribe button down the bottom right, and we'll get it to you. And Steve, thanks you so much, and let's go out with a blaze of glory.
All right. Thank you, Jim.